Last week, I had the privilege of speaking with Kimberly McBroom of our WDBJ Channel 7 about how we can help our kids become healthy, confident, and conscientious eaters. All of the things that I have been spending my time here talking about. And in part, we got to highlight Kizingo Kids, a company that I founded about 6 years ago to design children's feeding products specifically around the latest nutrition science to encourage the kinds of behaviors that we know are associated with long-term health, positive, long-term, healthy outcomes. And I wanted to talk today about a few of those things and the science behind the design of our products specifically. Okay, first is letting kids feed themselves. There is a lot of evidence that kids who can feed themselves as they move from breast and bottle feeding into solid foods, that kids who can feed themselves and do this successfully, they are less likely to become picky eaters and they are less likely to overeat. Why? Why is this? Well, first, try as we might and as well-intentioned as we are terrible at reading our kids' signals of fullness. This is particularly true when our kids are nonverbal, and the cues that they're full may be quite subtle and things that we just are either not paying attention to, don't know to look for, or just have a difficult time understanding. And so what ends up happening is that we want to control the process of feeding our kids. And again, we have a difficult time reading those signals of fullness. And as a result, we can end up overfeeding our kids. And over time, then, our kids lose that natural and innate ability that they have to listen to their internal signals of fullness. And instead, they start listening to external cues in the environment. And the other thing that happens when they do not have control over that process. Kids, especially as they are moving into their early toddler years, kids want to control things in their world, in their environment. And one of those things is mealtime and feeding. When we take that control away from them by controlling the process of feeding, rather than letting them do that themselves, they will have a tendency to start exerting that control in other areas. And often that can show up as picky eating. If they can't control the process of feeding, they want to control what they will accept. That we designed to do this is our self-feeding spoon. This spoon is specifically designed to encourage kids to be able to feed themselves more successfully. It works with the way kids hold and use utensils so that they can be more successful feeding themselves. You do not need a special spoon in order to do this. Letting your kids use their hands is letting them feed themselves. All right, piece of evidence number 2 has to do with encouraging kids to taste foods over and over and over again. Research suggests somewhere around 15 times that kids need to be exposed to something new or unfamiliar to them before it becomes a food that they know and that they will willingly accept. 15 times. As a parent, the problem with this is twofold. One, it's really hard to remember to give our kids something new all the time. This requires a lot of planning, and we have to remember to do it. We often overserve those new foods. We give large amounts of that new food, and that can be overwhelming to kids when it's something that they're not familiar with. And if we are giving a lot of it and then our kids don't end up eating it, it feels like we're wasting, right? So we're wasting food, we're wasting money. So remembering to regularly give our kids practice tasting new and somewhat familiar foods can be a real challenge. And yet it is critical to our kids developing a willingness to taste new foods and in expanding their diet and the amount of foods that they are willing to eat. What can you do about this? Well, you can remind yourself somehow to regularly be giving your kids something new. If you serve them broccoli, broccoli, I feel like broccoli and peas are always the bad guys in these examples. You give your kid broccoli one time and they don't touch it and you feel like, okay, well that failed. And maybe you try one more time a couple of months later and they're still not really interested and you think, well, I've tried. I don't know what to do. I gave it to them a couple times. Clearly they're never gonna like broccoli. I'm just going to quit trying to get them to like broccoli. That is nowhere close to enough exposures. Kids need multiple exposures to a food before it is something that they know and will accept. Now, this doesn't have to mean eating it. It can mean seeing it raw in the grocery store. It can mean seeing it growing, out in the garden or in a windowsill, smelling it, helping you to prepare it, touching it. It can mean licking it or giving it a small little taste. All of those are exposures to that food that will help build their familiarity and therefore their confidence. And so what products did Kizingo design around this specifically? Our plates and bowls are designed very specifically with a reminder space. It is a visual cue to you as a parent to give your kid a small amount of something new. It is a place for your child to know, this small little bit here, this is where I'm trying something new. This is a food that I'm not familiar with and I don't have to eat a whole lot of. This is for me to explore and practice. The rest of the plate is for all of my favorite foods, but this little spot is for something that I am learning to like. Do you need our plate or our bowl to do this specifically? No, you just need to remember that it takes multiple exposures to a food before kids will willingly accept and eat it. Okay, number 3 is encouraging kids to explore food with all of their senses. I have spoken about this previously. Other videos you can watch if you're interested in learning more about this. Kids integrate information from all of their senses when they are learning to eat, and especially when they're young and beginning this process of exploring solid foods. And so sometimes, even though it is messy and we may not want the mess, it is really important to give them lots of different opportunities to explore food with all of their senses. When you're serving a snack plate, ask them how different foods sound when they're biting into them. Ask them about the different textures as they're eating. Point out, use. I have a list of almost 100 terms you can use to describe foods, and use this language to help your kids identify how things taste, how they smell, how they feel. All of this helps to build their vocabulary and integrate the information they receive from all of their senses when they are consuming a food. And so what product did Kizingo design for this? Well, we have long sleeve bibs. And these bibs, again, are designed to help protect all of that clothing and maybe reduce some of the mess that you have to clean up when kids are exploring food, particularly with their hands. So, do you need a long sleeve bib? No, absolutely not. Just take that shirt off and let your kids explore food with all of their senses. And do this at a time. It doesn't have to be every meal. Let them do it occasionally, though, at a time when you have time to let that be a messy process and you have time to clean up from that process. But your kids will benefit immensely from that. If you're interested in learning more, I'll drop a link to Kizingo's website down below, along with a code to receive 15% off anything you buy there. But again, you do not need a special product to do any of this. You just need to be armed with this information so that you can help your kids develop a lifelong positive relationship with food.